When most of you think about animal extinction, you probably think about something like when the dinosaurs went extinct many years ago. But do you know that many animals are facing extinction right now? And do you also know that those animals going extinct would have a very negative effect on us? I'm going to tell you about all of that in my speech, along with the history of animal extinction. And for those of you who do not know, animal extinction is when an entire species is completely wiped out. This can happen for many reasons that I will also cover in my speech, so let's get started with the history. We've been seeing animal extinction for millions and millions of years. However, it began happening as an act of nature, with about 1 to 5 species becoming extinct each year. Nowadays, we are seeing extinction occur at a frightening rate. According to biologicaldiversity.org, scientists estimate that we're now losing species at 1,000 to 10,000 times the natural rate, with literally dozens going extinct every day. They're also predicting that by the middle of the century, we could lose 30 to 50% of all species. So far, there have been 5 mass extinction events in the history on Earth. The worst one occurred 250 million years ago, when 96% of marine species and 70% of land species died off, according to the Washington Post. Now, we are experiencing the 6th mass extinction. The mass extinction in the past were caused by natural events like asteroids, volcanoes, and natural climate change, but now we are at fault. Biologicaldiversity.com stated that 99% of currently threatened species are at risk because of human activities, like habitat loss, introduction of exotic species, and global warming. Animal extinction has a sort of domino effect. Once one species dies off, other species begin to die as well because they relied on the one that just died. There are many things that can contribute to animal extinction, one being climate change. One obvious way that climate change can cause extinction is that some animals just cannot live in higher temperatures. When temperature rises, the ocean temperature rises as well, affecting many types of wildlife in that habitat, including coral reefs. Warmer weather also causes sea levels to rise, which can result in the loss of habitat for animals who live on grounds. In the last century, sea levels have risen about 20 centimeters. Unregulated and illegal hunting is another factor that is putting many species at risk. Some people kill endangered species out of fear, like snakes, for example, while other people kill them because they are rare and they know they can benefit by it. For example, they can sell it and make money off of it. Introduced species have also played a role in animal extinction. Sometimes new species are introduced to a certain area by nature, like a seed blowing in the wind, but this is rare. Species are more commonly introduced by humans, typically by accident. Since humans have been traveling so much, it is very common for a seed to get stuck on their shoe or clothes and then be brought to a place where they do not belong. This disrupts the ecosystem of that area and can result in the extinction of some of the more vulnerable species, like those that do not reproduce as fast as others or those that live in smaller areas. Pollution also leads to the extinction of animals. Natural pollution may happen after a volcano eruption, a flood, and other things like that. It can even occur from overpopulation. This typically does not cause complete extinction, but can cause local extinction events which are not as serious. Human pollution is caused by many things, like dumping of toxic substances. Some types of pollution, like a huge oil spill, will have the power to cause complete extinction of species, usually those that live in smaller areas or those that do not reproduce as fast as others. However, pollution can impact a whole ecosystem, impacting humans, animals, plants, and everything. Disease is another factor when it comes to animal extinction. The competition of species causes extinction as well. They compete over long periods of time, and those that do not adapt are pushed closer to extinction. Habitat loss is another obvious factor of animal extinction. Natural things like volcanoes, floods, and other types of natural disaster can result in habitat loss, as well as human acts like construction and deforestation, among many others. According to arcoflife.net, habitat loss is the biggest threat on Earth and the greatest cause of extinction. This is because once an animal loses its natural habitat and it cannot adapt to a new one, it will become extinct. With that being said, there are many animals at risk of going extinct, which leads me to my next point about extinct and endangered animals today. Animal extinction today is very serious. In the past 500 years, about 1,000 species have gone extinct that we know of. There are many species not included in that number because they died off before scientists were able to really get to know them. Now, thousands of species are facing the risk of extinction. One of the most at risk are amphibians. It is estimated that at least a third of all amphibians are at risk of extinction. That extinction rate is from 25,000 to 45,000 times the natural extinction rate that I mentioned previously. According to biologicaldiversity.com, scientists blame many factors, including habitat loss, water and air pollution, climate change, ultraviolet light exposure, introduced exotic species, and disease. Birds are another species that are at risk when it comes to extinction. In 2009, it was found that 31% of bird species in the United States are of conservation concern. It is also estimated that 12% of all bird species are threatened and 2% are facing extremely high risk, according to biologicaldiversity.com. The American Fisheries Society stated that 700 species, or 39% of freshwater fish in North America, are at risk. They also stated that at least 82 species are at risk in marine waters in North America. Biologicaldiversity.com added that at least 82 species are at risk in marine waters. They also added that there are many factors that have led to the decreasing amount of fish in our ecosystem, including the increasing demand for water, the damming of rivers throughout the world, the dumping and accumulation of various pollutants and invasive species. Our aquatic ecosystem is one of the most threatened ecosystems out there. Some species that we don't typically think about when we think of endangered species are invertebrates. Worms, corals, and butterflies, among many others, are at risk of extinction as well. It is believed that invertebrates make up about 97% of all of the animal species on Earth. There are 1.3 million invertebrate species that we know of, and it is estimated that about 30% of them are facing extinction. When it comes to freshwater invertebrates, we blame things like water pollution and water projects. We also blame deforestation for the risk and the actual extinction of many species. Mammals are also at very high risk for extinction. It is estimated that around 50% of primate species are at risk. This includes monkeys, apes, lemurs, and many more. This is because about 90% of primates live in tropical forests, which are being destroyed by humans every day. Marine mammals like whales, dolphins, and porpoises are also at risk. Polar bears, which are also marine mammals, are facing serious issues. With global warming melting so much ice, which is part of their habitat, they are forced to swim far into the ocean just searching for more ice. We have already lost many animals to extinction, including the saber-toothed tiger and the woolly mammoth, but we have a countless amount of animals who are endangered. Some well-known ones are the Asian elephant, many kinds of bears, chimpanzees, tigers, zebras, and many more. Many people do not know how serious of an issue extinction is, and many people also do not realize just how much it impacts us. People think that they're just animals, but they're not, and they have a huge impact on our lives. We share ecosystems with these species. They help improve the quality of our lives, and as Sciencing.com points out, our survival is linked to them. Here are some examples of how animals play a role in our lives. Bees are an example of bees are facing danger and extinction, and they are very helpful for humans, pollinating over 250,000 plant species. However, as stated by Sciencing.com, a malady known as colony collapse disorder has wiped out the entire population of bees. This has a huge impact on our crops, and it is believed that if we keep losing bees like we have been, it will threaten even more. In fact, 87% of our crops that we rely on for food rely on pollinators like honeybees, and Sciencing.com adds that only 28 crops could even survive without them. They also pointed out that some species suffer as buffers between humans and pathogens that can be very dangerous. One example of this is possums. They are resistant to the parasites that cause Lyme's disease, and unfortunately we've been seeing less and less of them. So their resistance to the disease actually lowers the number of humans that develop Lyme's disease, but now that we're seeing less of them, we see Lyme's disease becoming more and more common in humans. Animals also help a lot when it comes to finding out information about curing human diseases. Bears are used to find clues about how they recycle blood toxins during hibernation to find potential solutions to kidney disorders, according to Sciencing.com. They also pointed out that an important fact that each species that vanishes may hold the key to any number of medical breakthroughs, and the loss of these resources could prove a terrible blow to humans. While we may all know what animal extinction is, I do not think that many people know the severity of this issue or that it is happening before our eyes right now. The fact that these animals are facing extinction is not only bad for them, but is bad for us as well. Animals and plants are both important parts of our lives, and a huge part of extinction is human actions. It is very important that we know this information so that we can take into account the severity and think about our actions before continuing them.